hope you opened that, right? Economic survey. So if you can see there, there are certain topics there. For example, you have like, chapter wise classification. So this is, if you open the content page, you'll see that there are so many things into that, right? So many things into that. For example, you have macroeconomy and GDP, inflation and banking, right? Inflation and banking is there. Then external sector and trade, public finance, fiscal policy, agriculture and allied sectors. All these are your actually topics or your chapters of Indian economy, right? So we will discuss this economic survey and we'll try to understand the key words that are necessary for your examination point of view. Okay, fine. So I hope everyone has the document in the hand. All right. So the first thing that we'll discuss is, if you can also see in the screen, this chapter-wise important topics. Now on the side it has been written high priority, so that means there is a probability of question being asked from this chapter. Okay, so first chapter is macroeconomy and GDP. All right, macroeconomy and GDP. Now what was the meaning of macroeconomics? Can anyone tell me? What was the meaning of macroeconomy or macroeconomy?
Goods and services which has been produced in a whole country.
Goods and services
That has been produced in a country.
In the whole.
In a specific year.
Okay. In the whole country, in a specific boundary, right? Any other?
Sorry, government related.
Huh? Government, what?
Sorry, government related.
Government related. So yesterday we discussed on macroeconomics, the different types of economics. Remember, micro was there. Macroeconomy talks about all the things in a country. All right. If you open that, the document, you'll see macroeconomics means what? If you open up the first notes that I gave you yesterday, macroeconomics refer to, if you can look here, it refers to how overall economy works in a country. Okay, it studies employment, gross domestic product, inflation, government policies, poverty, balance of payments, and their effects on the national economy, right? So that was macroeconomics, which we already discussed yesterday. Okay, now from here we have to do topic by topic. Okay, the first topic is real GDP. According to economic survey 2025-2026, this economic survey was released in January 2026. Okay, and before any budget session, most of the time we get our economic survey of the last year. Okay, this is not of this year 2026, it is of the last year. So according to the economic survey, the real GDP growth of India is expected at 7.4%, which is an increase from 6.5%. All right. Now, what is real GDP in this? What do you understand by real GDP? Can anyone tell me?
Sir, all the goods and services which have been produced in a particular year, and plus based on the base years.
Based on the base years.
Base year.
Okay, fine. We'll agree with you. So I have made these notes for you guys, so I'll send it to you later. But as of now, let's study from here. Real GDP represents the total value of all final goods and services produced within a country's boundary, okay, in a given year, adjusted for inflation. Okay, adjusted for inflation. Fine, this is the definition. Why do we use real GDP? Because it gives us a more accurate picture of economic growth, okay, by removing the effect of price changes. So we don't see a price change here. It gives us a more accurate economic growth because we already adjust the amount according to inflation. All right, according to inflation. Fine. What is real GDP? Again, it is the total value of all final goods and services produced within a country's border in a given year, which is adjusted for inflation. Okay, which is adjusted for inflation. Can anyone tell me what was nominal GDP? Nominal GDP?
It measures output using current market prices.
Market prices, okay. Nominal GDP was at market prices. Fine, good. Now, real GDP isolates changes in the volume of goods and services produced. That means if real GDP increases, okay, if real GDP increases, it means the economy is genuinely producing more, not just that the prices have gone up. So very, very important statement. If real GDP increases, it means the economy actually is doing well. Okay, economy is actually doing well. That means the country is producing more things. Okay, country is producing more things rather than, you know, the prices going up. All right, fine. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now this real GDP is calculated at what prices? At constant prices. Okay. And a specific base year is taken always. Specific base year is always taken. For example, for the last 10 decades or so, more than 10 decades, we have been using 2011, 2012 as base year. However, this has been changed now to 2022 to 2023, which we discussed yesterday, right? So please keep this in mind. The base year of calculating GDP has been changed, okay? I'm repeatedly giving you this emphasis on this base year. They might ask you as a statement type of question, okay? It has been changed to 2022 to 2023, all right? Fine. This is one idea that we have to know. Real GDP gives us the health and growth of an economy, okay? Real GDP gives us the health and growth of a economy, of our economy, whether it is really doing well or not. All right, so how do we calculate real GDP? The formula, please write this down in your copy properly. Real GDP is equal to, in brackets, nominal GDP by GDP deflator. Nominal GDP by GDP deflator into 100. Okay, into 100. Fine. Can anyone tell me what is a GDP deflator? What is the purpose of GDP deflator? If you have done your economic classes, you are aware of GDP deflator. What is it, GDP deflator? GDP deflator is most of the time used when we calculate real GDP because it takes out the inflation problem. Okay, takes out the inflation problem. But however, GDP deflator means a measure of average level of prices of all new domestically produced final goods and services in a country. Okay, in an economy, the average level of prices of all the new things, all the domestically produced things, all the final goods and services in an economy. So my idea, my logic here will be on this topic. Real GDP is equal to nominal GDP by GDP deflator into 100. So you will get conceptual questions on this also. What is the relation between real GDP and nominal GDP? Okay. What is the relationship between real GDP and nominal GDP? So you can find nominal GDP from this formula as well. All right. You can find nominal GDP from this formula as well. How can you do that? Everything will change this side. If you transfer GDP deflator this side and 100 this side, it'll change. Whatever signs they have, basic maths, whatever you have done in class 9, 10 level, that will be here, applied here. So you can also find nominal GDP formula. All right. Like nominal GDP, real GDP also includes consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. So what is the role of GDP? What is the role of real GDP? First of all, it is vital for policymakers, economists, and businesses. So it is not really important for you and I as an individual. It is important for policymakers or economists and businesses rather than you and I. Understanding? So it gives us an accurate growth assessment. It provides a clear picture of whether the economy is expanding or contracting in terms of actual production. So real GDP always measures production. Okay, production in an economy, right? Inflation has been adjusted in real GDP. We know that. That is why we can find out, we can find the difference between growth driven, increase by output, and growth driven by rising prices. Okay, growth driven by rising prices. So we can find out the difference. So real GDP gives us a picture that growth is taking place in a country because of output, increased output, not just inflation. Okay, not just inflationary prices, because inflation is adjusted already. Okay, it also helps in policy formulation, particularly the monetary policy of RBI, where RBI uses real GDP growth to see the economic momentum and to set interest rates. Interest rates for whom? Who does RBI set interest rates for?
Banks.
The commercial bank.
For banks, yes. For banks, RBI sets interest rates for banks. There are different types of interest rates, which we'll discuss one by one later on in the classes. All right. It also helps in fiscal policy. So remember, what is the difference between monetary and fiscal policy? Monetary policy is done by RBI. Fiscal policy is by the government. Okay. So the government will see how to, will see the tax revenues, how to plan the expenditure, and also the impact of the policy itself. Okay, so government uses real GDP data. So like I said, real GDP is for policymakers, economists, and businesses. It is not for individual like you and I. Okay, we will hardly understand this in a layman term. Okay, in a very, very simple logically, we can say that we cannot understand this so much. All right. But for businesses, for policymakers, it is very, very important, real GDP. So it also compares internationally, meaning we get meaningful comparison of economic performances between different countries over a long period. Okay, so real GDP is also taken to compare between countries' economic performance over a long period of time. And finally, real GDP helps us in identifying recession or boom of economy. So for example, if there is a sustained decline in real GDP, that is typically for 2 consecutive quarters, it is signaling towards a recession. Remember this statement. If there is a decline in real GDP, typically for over 2 consecutive quarters. Quarters means what? Anyone can tell me what is quarters? Quarterly. Okay, what is quarters? Quarterly. Quarterly means
3 months. 3 months.
Every 3 months. Every 3 months is quarterly. So if for 2 quarters, if our real GDP does not pick up, okay, if our real GDP is showing a decline in the percentage or in the number, that means we are heading towards recession. Right now, in India's context, India's context, what is it saying?
স্যার রিসেশন মানে কি হয়?
Recession মানে slow down of economy. Okay, recession means slowing down of economy. Okay, so I have given this document already to your Telegram group. So the first point, the economic survey is saying that the real GDP is expected to grow at 7.4%, which is much better than what happened in the financial year 2025. Okay, 6.5 to 7.5%. That means we are, what is it saying? Real GDP is telling us what?
Growing.
We are growing. Are we growing only because of inflation, or really output is happening?
Really happening.
Yeah, so real GDP, always remember, real GDP is calculating our production level. Okay, it is calculating our production level. So what does real GDP definition means again? Can anyone tell me the definition of real GDP again?
GDP that is calculated on a constant price,
Yeah,
and also real GDP focuses on production.
fine, but what is the proper definition? Your concept is clear, the definition is, can anyone try?
So the goods and services which have been produced in a country for a specific year based on the constant price and adjusted with inflation.
Yeah, so that is a definition. The total value of all the goods and services produced in a year within a country, okay, within a country, which also has been adjusted for inflation, that is real GDP. So real GDP, when real GDP is showing a sign of growth, that means our production also is happening well. All right, in India's context, we can see live example from our streets itself. Okay, the works of real GDP we can see. So much construction is happening in Guwahati city, right? So many manufacturing plants are coming inside Northeast right now, as of now. So we can see semiconductor is coming, bioethanol plants are coming in Northeast. So we can see that our GDP is actually growing from real life example. Okay, but this real GDP is not used by individuals like you and I. We will just say development in a very layman term. We'll say, oh, development is happening. But this real GDP is used by policymakers, economists, and even your businesses. Okay, they see this number and they say, okay, that is a good scope. So when outside companies, like foreign companies, when they see the real GDP of India is at 7.4% for this financial year, that means it is a good number. So they would like to invest in India. They would like to do businesses in India. Understanding why real GDP is important. Fine? Understood? Any confusion? You can raise your hand, you can talk to me. Since we are few in number, directly you can open your mic and say. Fine? This concept is clear? Real GDP?
Yes, sir.
Okay? So expect at least one type of question from this, maybe from the formula, maybe from the statement that I said, what will happen if real GDP is showing sustained decline for 2 quarters, what will happen? All those type of statements, remember, I'll send you this document, don't worry. But as of now also, you think what type of questions can come. In that line, you'll have to think the questions. Okay, formula is important and significances are also important. All right, now we know real GDP, we know nominal GDP, the types of GDP that we discussed yesterday also. Okay, real GDP means at constant prices using a base year. I'm repeatedly telling you again, base year has been changed, so keep this in mind. Nominal GDP, it's at current market prices. What is the purpose of real GDP? To see actual physical output growth, meaning production. Okay, production. Okay, nominal GDP is measuring economic output at prevailing prices, which includes inflation effects. So how is inflation affecting us? That can be seen from nominal GDP. In inflation impact, real GDP is adjusted for inflation, so removes price changes. Okay. However, nominal GDP includes inflation. Okay. So higher prices can inflate its value without real growth. Okay. Without real growth. Calculation: nominal GDP by GDP deflated into 100 using a base year price. Then nominal GDP is calculated by sum of current year quantity into current year price. All right. Fine. Also, you can find nominal GDP from this also, this formula. Okay. Comparability. Real GDP is used for comparing economic performances across years. Okay, across years. However, nominal GDP is very less suitable for comparisons because price fluctuations happen every year. Okay, every year price fluctuation happens, so we don't really look at nominal GDP so much. Okay. The true economic well-being and living standards, that is by production capacity, can be understood by real GDP. On the other hand, nominal GDP only calculates the market value of output, which is useful for current year expenditure or revenue analysis. So for the example, 2026, what is our revenue, what is our expenditure? To analyze that, we can use nominal GDP. Okay, example, if 2023 output is valued at 2011 or 12 prices, that is real GDP. Okay. However, if 2023 output is valued at 2023 prices, so you can change the year here. You can say 2026 output is valued at now, which is the base year? Which is the base year now?
2022
2002 2023. Okay, 2022 to 2023. All right, that is our base year for real GDP now. And 2026 output valued at 2026 prices. So for example, we can say what is the price of consumer goods as of now. Okay, potato, onions, whatever, like we can calculate a nominal GDP using the market prices. Okay, the recent prices. So why is it relevant, real GDP? It is a key metric for central banks. Central bank means RBI and government, okay, to assess growth and potential of the economy. On the other hand, nominal GDP is used for budget calculations. Okay, budget calculations and understanding what is the current market. Okay, what is the current market size, or what is the current market undergoing. Okay, so this is a classic difference between real and nominal GDP. Any questions here? Any questions on this?
So the nominal GDP in numbers will be always high, no?
Yes,
In that
nominal
case.
GDP will always be in a higher note because it is based on inflation. Okay, it is based on inflation and market prices. So not always higher in the sense like, for example, if the market prices come down, then we can see sometimes that okay, nominal GDP can also have a lesser number. But most of the time we have seen over the years that price of, let's just say, one egg always have increased, right? Before, I used to remember like 10 years back, we used to get one egg for 1.5 or 2 rupees in Delhi, that too. Okay, and then now it's like 9 rupees, 9.5 rupees. So that fluctuation is there, no, every year price rise is there. So that is we use those numbers, fluctuations, in nominal GDP, while real GDP will always be adjusted for this kind of inflationary prices. So yes, nominal GDP is mostly tends to show towards the higher side because prices are also, or value of products also goes up every year. Okay, any other question from this? If not, then we'll move ahead. Fine. So we finished one topic of this chapter, macroeconomy and GDP. So we understood what is real GDP. Second topic we want to focus is here. What is private final consumption expenditure? So according to economic survey, this private final consumption expenditure has been raised to 61.5% of GDP, highest since 2011-2012. Okay, this private final consumption expenditure is showing 61.5% of the total GDP of the country, which is highest since 2011-2012. Can anyone tell me what is this PFCE? Have you heard of this in your economy classes? Huh? No? Okay, let's just discuss quickly then. Final or private final consumption expenditure. Okay, this is, I'll just change this. PF is private final consumption expenditure represents the total expenditure incurred by resident households and all non-profit institutions serving households on goods and services for direct satisfaction of individual needs and wants. So what is it saying? It is an expenditure, first keyword. It is an expenditure incurred by whom? Incurred by resident households and non-profit institutions serving households. In short, NPISH, okay? Non-profit institutions serving households for direct satisfaction of individual needs or wants. All right. So who are they talking about final consumption expenditure? They're talking about resident households first of all. Okay. Two category of groups are there. One group is resident household, that is like you and me with your family members, and non-profit institutions serving households. Who are these non-profit institutions? Religious organizations, okay, charities, trade unions, even political parties, okay, even political parties that provide goods and services to households, free or at economically insignificant prices. All right. So basically it is saying whatever expenditure has been made by resident households, meaning households of the citizens, and this non-profit institution for the satisfaction, for the wants and needs of all the individual, that is called private final consumption expenditure. All right, private final consumption expenditure. Okay, expenditure. It refers to expenditure on goods and services. Expenditure on goods and services that are used by consumers and not for further production or resale. Okay, it is the final expenditure, final consumption. Okay, where goods and services, that whatever service or goods that are being used directly by the consumers and no other process of resale or production is there. Okay, it includes consumption expenditure by residents, households, both within domestic and abroad. Who are these abroad people? NRIs. NRIs, okay, non-residents. All right. Okay, fine. So what are the components of PFCE? It is based on goods and services consumed. So durable goods is one component. Durable goods means like cars, refrigerators, and furniture, which goes for some long period of time. Then semi-durable goods like, medium lifespan, like clothing, footwear, all these textiles, they are semi-durable. And non-durable also is a component, which is like used within a short period of time, like food, beverages, and fuel. Okay, fine. And services like housing, transport, communication, education, healthcare, recreation are also counted. Now, like I said, these services and goods have to be used completely by the consumers and not for any other business purpose or any other production purpose. Okay, so for example, can you give me an example of religious organization that is serving household? Can you give me an example of a religious organization that is serving the households? Can you give me an example?
Sir, Waqf board.
Huh?
Sir, Waqf board আছিল যে মুছলিমৰ।
Okay. Waqf board. Okay, fine. What about gurudwaras, where every day langar is there, right? They are also providing service. They are also providing goods like food, right? So think it this way: all the those non-resident or non-profit serving households, they are what? They are all these religious institutions. They might be a church. They might be the gurudwara. They might be a political party also. Okay, so it does not matter. But if they are serving the residents, okay, if they're serving the residents with free food or very low price food or grains or anything, what are the components? We have discussed everything. No, components are there, durable goods are there. That is, like, even if they're getting cars, refrigerators or furniture at a very less price, semi-durable goods are there, clothing, footwear, textiles. Non-durable goods are there, food, beverage and fuel, and services also. If they are getting housing, transport facilities or communication facilities, education, right? So many NGOs are there that provide education free of cost, right? Fine. So all these
Sir,
are
Catholic Church বোৰ যে পায় এইবোৰ পইচা বা ডন বস্কো এইবোৰো হ'ব নেকি স্যাৰ?
Don Bosco.
স্যাৰ পইচা পায় বুলি কৈছিল ন আপুনি বাহিৰৰ পৰা, বা কেথলিক চাৰ্চ বোৰ পায় বুলি কৈছিলে?
No, that is their inner business. What I'm saying is, when an institution receives money or funding, that is called funding. No, that is not like charitable. Are you getting the money to you? They're providing, if they're providing free education for people around, that will come under this category, okay? Or very minimal charge on education, that will come under this category, okay? If any gurudwara is providing free food, that will come under this category. If any religious organization, whether Hindu, Christian, Islam or Sikh, all the religion groups, they are non-profit, no? They are known as non-profits. Okay, so they do what? They serve the people. So all those things will come under this category. All right, will come under this category called, what is this category called? Non-profit institutions serving households. Okay, what are they including? Religious organizations, charities, even trade unions and political parties. Okay, political parties. So final consumption expenditure or private final consumption expenditure is the total expenditure that is shown by resident households and non-profit institutions serving households on goods and services for the direct satisfaction of individual needs or wants. Okay, individual needs or wants. So how is it, this component is, how is it significant in Indian economy? First of all, PFCE is the largest component of India's gross domestic product. Okay, it is the largest component of India's gross domestic product, making it a critical indicator of economic health. Okay, making it critical indicator of economic health. So it is also an indicator. Apart from being the largest component of India's GDP, it is also a indicator, okay, of economic health. So it shows our demand. Okay, it shows our demand in the country. Okay, what are the people looking to buy? What are the people getting for themselves also? All right. It also shows economic growth of the country, because if you have a good PFCE growth, okay, it signals the consumers are confident to buy That means the consumers have a lot of purchasing power, which leads to higher production and employment. Okay, so mark this statement very nicely. Robust PFCE growth signals strong consumer confidence and purchasing power, leading to higher production and employment. True statement. Okay, true statement. It also allows businesses to make their investment and expansion plans. Okay, because the first criteria is demand. So when there is demand, these businesses will plan out, okay, this demand is there, these people are buying this one, right? Why do you think in our market now, why do you think in our, for example, I'm giving a very basic example, in our departmental stores, why do you have so many Korean, like, mentioned Korean food, even if it's not Korean also? Korean has become a flavor now. It's no longer a nationality in this country. It is a flavor now. Korean noodles. What is Korean noodles? Noodles are noodles anyway at the end, whether it is in China, whether it is in India, it is the same thing, right? There are rice noodles, there are wheat noodles. That I can understand. But what is Korean noodles? Or what is Korean chips? It has become a flavor. Why companies are making this branding or advertising in that way? Because there is a demand for Korean food in this country as of now. Okay, as of now there is demand. For a long time we had dependent on Chinese food. Okay, chow mein and all those Chinese, everything Chinese was there. Now the demand is towards Korean culture, Korean food. Okay, so that is what the companies see, and they make the business plans accordingly by seeing this private final consumption expenditure. Okay, excessively high PFCE growth also shows some type of inflation, that is demand pull inflation. When the supply is constrained, when the supply is not very satisfactory, if there is a high PFCE growth, we see demand and pull inflation. Can anyone tell me what is demand and pull inflation? Demand pull inflation, can anyone tell me?
Sir, when there is high demand, but the production sector has produced not that much abundant, which leads to scarcity, and
Yeah.
that demands lead to the demand inflation.
Yeah, so when you have high demand, but the production is not up to the mark, so what happens? There is scarcity in the market, but people want that, right? People want that. So people are ready to pay also. For example, the fuel. Okay, if tomorrow government of India says we don't have fuel anymore, so what will you do? Right? You'll pay any amount. If you're rich, you'll pay any amount to get fuel for your car, for your vehicle. Okay, in this country, the poor, I'm not counting as of now, no offense to them, the poor have no other choice. They will work hard, they'll go do daily wage laboring, whatever, and they will live like that. But the middle class people, those who are a little bit okayish in terms, and the luxurious people who are on top of the food chain, on top of the society in terms of economic aspects, they always go for comfort. Okay, in this country at least, they don't want to complain too much in this country. So whatever jugaad they can find, they will do that. For example, government does not provide you electricity properly, so what do? You buy an inverter. Okay, government does not provide you good water supply. What will you do? You will purchase water from water tankers, private water tankers. All right, so people in this country are used to getting the comfort whenever they can, because there is a little bit of purchasing power they have. If you were poor, if all of us were like at the level of daily wage earning, then what would have been the case? We would have complained to the government, we would have made protest after protest regarding this. But since we have an option now, we don't really necessarily protest. Okay, I'm not saying you go out now and protest for everything now, But what I mean is, in this country, we have the people generally are in the middle class category, and this middle class category is looking for comfort, okay, looking for facilities, better facilities. So we have some purchasing power, we can buy things from the market, and that shows our private final consumption expenditure, which is at 61% of your total GDP. So from 2011 to 2012, it means our people are capable of buying things, okay, of buying things. That's what it is showing directly. And businesses are earning a lot of money, or businesses can expand because of this capability. This is why private final consumption expenditure is needed to understand. Fine? Fine?
Yes, sir.
So, what are the factors that influence private final consumption expenditure? First of all is the disposable income. Higher disposable income means income after taxes, okay? Income after taxes, okay? Which translates to increased purchasing power. All right? Now 8th pay, whatever pay is coming, the government officials are happy that they will get more money now, okay, that will increase more purchasing power, right? Then factors influencing PFCE is also consumer confidence, meaning there is an optimism. Optimism means hope that okay, in future our economic growth is going to be good and job also will be there, so it encourages spending, okay, it encourages spending. Factors influencing PFCE is also inflation, okay. When there is high inflation, it removes the purchasing power of people, which reduces consumption. So I'm talking both the factors that see the growth of this number PFCE, and also the factors that reduces the number of PFCE. Inflation is one factor. Interest rates also is a factor. When you have lower interest rates, it makes borrowing cheaper, and it allows the consumers to get consumption of durable goods. For example, housing, vehicles. So many people buy their cars still on EMI. In India, EMI culture has come in, right? In the last 5-6 years, we have seen the growth of EMI culture. Even if you don't have money in your pocket, the banks are giving you at a very low rate. So people are okay to pay monthly also, right? So this is for what? Showing what? That lower interest rates make borrowing cheaper. If the interest rates were higher, maybe 20%, 25%, you will not buy those things. Okay, you will not buy those things. Employment levels also influence PFCE. High employment and wage growth also boost household incomes and spending. So when there is high employment in the country, when there is salary or wage is high, it allows spending and in the consumer goods. Wealth effect is also a factor. What is wealth effect? Changes in asset values, that is stock market, real estate, can influence consumer spending. Okay, so people are nowadays moving to mutual funds and stock market. Many people, young people especially, they have lost a lot of money in stock market without understanding the market. They go and they think like, we invest this much and they'll get this much, but it does not work like that. But it is allowing, these ideas are allowing us to spend money in the market. Demography is also an important factor that influences this PFCE. Population size, age structure, and urbanization also impact consumption patterns. If there is a lot of population, okay, our PFC number will go high if all of them can afford. Age-wise, if there are a lot of young people, the young people like to buy a lot of things, a lot of consumable things, all right? And urbanization trends impact consumer patterns. And finally, policy focus. If government makes policies which aims to boost PFCE PFCE, like tax cuts, when they cut the tax, like income tax level, you know, now it has been reduced a little bit for middle class, right? Then income support schemes like PM Kisan, and employment generation programs like Manrega or VG Gram. Okay, all this allows people to spend more in the market, and that is what PFC is all about. It is consumption. Okay, it is expenditure by the resident households and those non-profit institutions. Any questions on PFCE? What is PFCE now? Any questions? Fine. Let's understand the difference between final private or private final consumption expenditure or government final consumption expenditure. In private final, it is by households and non-profit institutions serving households. Okay, households basically is the key word here. Government final consumption expenditure is by government on goods and services for collective or individual consumptions. Who are the purchasers of PFCE? Households, non-profit, and all this. In government, central government, state government, and local government. What is the purpose of PFCE? Direct satisfaction of individual needs, that is food, clothing, housing, etc. What is the role of government final consumption expenditure? It is collective services like providing defense, public administration, and also individual services like education and healthcare. So it includes both collective as well as individual service. Nature of goods and services in PFCE: consumer goods, all durables and non-durables, and services. On government side, it is public goods and services, often providing free or at subsidized rates. Now tell me, Karbi Anglong Council providing free education is which category?
GFC.
Yeah, GFCE. Okay, fine, GFCE. So understand the difference. Now, what is the share in GDP? It is often the largest component in GDP, that is PFCE, almost 55 to 60%. In this year, it is 61.5%. It is smaller than PFCE, which is the government one, typically at 10 to 12%. What drives PFCE? High disposable income that we understood, consumer confidence, interest rates, inflation, and employment. These are factors that drives PFCE. On the other side, government side, fiscal policy, government budget, and public welfare objectives. Okay, impact on economy by PFCE: it fuels demand. Okay, fuels demand means a lot of production, a lot of employment, and investment. On the other side, government side, it provides essential public services which can help stabilize the economy and also can crowd out private investment. What is crowd out private investment? What is crowd out private investment? What is the meaning of this? Crowd out private investment. Meaning when government wants to stop private investment, okay, it can use this government final consumption expenditure. Okay, fine. On the other side, we see investment, a lot of investment, private, a lot of investment by private companies. But sometimes government wants to say, no, this we will do, let not the private do. Okay, so that time they will use, it allows them to use this GFCE. All right, measurement: sum of all the household spending on various categories of goods and services in private final. And in government purchases of goods and services plus compensation of employees, whatever they're paying to the staff, government employees, right? Volatility: PFCE is very, very volatile. Okay, it is influenced by economic sentiment and income levels. Government final consumption is stable, okay, which is determined by policy and budget cycles, which they make for 5 years, 4 years, all right, like that. So that is why it is relatively stable. Private final consumption expenditure is very, very volatile because it is day-to-day basis market level. Okay, day-to-day basis market level. Fine.
Sir, আৰু এবাৰ হেৰি পঢ়াই দিব নেকি স্যাৰ এইখিনি ওপৰখিনি
Kuntu.
এইটোৱে স্যাৰ চাৰ্টটো মানে বেছি ফাষ্ট যোৱা যেন পালে স্যাৰ বুজি নাপালো ভালকে অলপকে মানে কেচ নোহোৱা দৰে হ'ল অলপ বস্তুখিনি
What did you not understand? What is final private or private final consumption expenditure? It is expenditure by household and non-profit institution serving households. In short, NPISH. Okay. On the other side, what is government final consumption expenditure? It is the expenditure made by government on goods and services for collective and individual consumption. For example, the purpose of private final consumption expenditure is satisfaction of individual needs, that is providing food, clothing, housing, education, healthcare. On the other side, government final consumption expenditure is for collective services, like government provides defense to our country, government is providing administration in the country, government also gives individual services like your education. For example, Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council is giving free education, right? So that also can be provided at individual level by the government service. All right. The nature of goods and services. What is the nature of goods and services? What are the components of private final consumption expenditure? These are consumer goods that can be durable, non-durable. What are durable? Durable means?
So cars.
Yeah, long term.
Yeah.
Long term. Non-durables are short term, all right, or medium term, and services. On the other side, government provides what is the nature of goods and services provided by government? That is public goods and services, often free or at subsidized rates. For example, the bus fare of Guwahati city is provided by government, right? So for 14-15 kilometers, you can go at 35 rupees to 40 rupees. Now, if you take a private Uber, it goes on to 400, 300, 400 rupees. So that's the difference. But it is giving you a choice. Which one can you take, right? Which one do you want, right? Then the share of private final consumption expenditure is largest in GDP. Often 50 to 60% of GDP is taken by private final consumption expenditure, while on the government side, it is smaller, around 10 to 12% of GDP. What are the factors that push private final consumption expenditure? That is disposable income. What is disposable income? Income after taxes. Okay, so when people have a lot of money, they buy a lot of things. When you have a lot of money, you will also not come by bus, you will take a Uber. Simple logic. Why? Because comfort. You're looking for comfort. All right. Or if you have more money, you'll get your own vehicle, own car. All right. So that is disposable income. Consumer also has confidence that, okay, our economy is doing well. I can spend, I have money, my job is secure. So that is a confidence. Interest rates, if the interest rates are low in the country, people will buy more things. Maybe starting with your phone to cars to bikes, whatever, even house, if the interest rates are low. Inflation also influences PFCE. How? If you have high inflation, if 1 kilo of potato goes up to 100 rupees, you'll not buy 1 kilo, you'll buy maybe 1 poa. Okay, that also influences consumption of people, of residents. And employment. If there is no employment, why would people spend unnecessary money on unnecessary things? All right, that is also a factor. On the other hand, government final consumption expenditure is by fiscal policy. When government makes the policy, when government makes a budget planning, when government announces welfare schemes, Lakpoti Baido scheme, what is it doing? Providing money to women entrepreneurs, right? And from that business, whatever they earn, that is government's final consumption expenditure. In the impact on economy, when you have a lot of private final consumption, when residents are spending a lot of money, It fuels demand. That means when demand is there, the businesses will set up more production centers. If more production centers are there, more people will be employed. If more people are employed, meaning more investment will come in. Okay, that is the impact of final private consumption expenditure. Meaning, if final consumption expenditure is high in a country, that means there is demand. There is a constant demand. On the other side, government provides what? Public services. It is just there to stabilize the economy, and it also might say, oh, I will give a better option, or I will try to give option from government side which can throw out private investment. For example, in terms of transportation, Guwahati green buses are there, which is provided by government. So either you can take an AC bus or you can take an AC Uber. It's up to you. Okay, it is up to you, whichever you prefer. That is only up to you. All right, so government provides that balance. All right, fine. So private final can be very, very volatile because it is influenced by economic sentiment and income levels of the country. A poor person cannot purchase a lot of things, but a middle class, a rising middle class, and the rich people, they can afford a lot of things. So it is impacted by income levels. However, government spending or government final consumption expenditure is stable. It is determined by their policy. So for 5 years, they said Lakpati Baido scheme will be announced. For this many years, we will provide this much of money every year to this many people. Okay, they already have decided, right? So that is why that is stable. Any confusion now on this?
No, sir.
So what is the private final consumption expenditure of this country according to economic survey?
Household, sir.
Huh? What is the share?
61 to something 60%.
No, read the document. Economic
61.
61.5%.
61.
Right. 61.5% is for this last economic survey, they found that our GDP share is 61.5% for private final consumption expenditure. Meaning what? When you have a high number like this, meaning what? It is highest since 2011-12. What does it mean? That can be a question. What does it mean? What does it mean? 61.5% of GDP by private final consumption.
So that means there is a demand in consumption, sir.
Yeah, there is a demand in
Purchasing power
consumption.
increase.
Yeah, high purchasing power also. Okay, that means people have a lot of disposable income in their pockets. Okay, fine. So that's what it shows. So conceptually understand the topics very, very nicely. You will get conceptual questions only on this. You will not get so many direct questions. Okay, so it means when private final consumption expenditure is there, it means very, very simply, people have a lot of money in their pockets, high disposable income. That means there is a lot of demand in the country. People are buying a lot of things. Okay, that's what it means. Fine. This topic is covered. Any question you can still ask. You can raise hand or talk if you don't understand. Fine. I hope it's fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So see, from your own economic survey, that's why I said economic survey is one of the important elements for prelims and for civil service. You get a lot of concepts cleared out at one shot. You don't have to read again and again. Okay, these are very, very clear topics. Now next topic according to this chapter is Goldilocks moment. What is Goldilocks moment? Okay, what is Goldilocks moment? Goldilocks moment in economics refers to a period. What does it refer? It refers to a period. Period means time. Okay, timeline. Characterized by just right economic conditions. Okay, a period of time where the time is just right economic conditions, meaning robust economic growth with low unemployment and stable and moderate inflation. Okay, so there is high economic growth with less unemployment, and inflation is more or less stable. That is a Goldilocks moment in economics. Fine, this is a direct question. You can get the definition itself. What is a Goldilocks moment? All right, so it is the ideal scenario where economy is neither overheating, that means leading to high inflation, or slowing down, that means recession or high unemployment. So it is the perfect balance in economics, okay, where our country's economy is neither going towards high inflation nor it is going towards recession. All right, fine. Mark this statement also. The term is derived from children's fairy tale, Goldilocks and Three Bears. So you can read this story if you want. What is it about? Okay. So it has been derived from a children's fairy tale called Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So understanding, what does Goldilocks moment mean? Tell me. What is Goldilocks moment in economics?
When there is less unemployment and
When there is
So
less,
robust economic growth
yeah,
and
robust.
less
stable.
unemployment.
Okay. Now, one by one, I'll start with Harlongbi. One by one, you tell me the characteristics of a Goldilocks moment. Harlongbi, the first one. Give me one characteristics.
For Goldilocks, sir.
Yeah, Goldilocks moment.
Sir, there will be a slow, low income, sorry, sir, low employment generation.
Low employment generation. Let's look to the definition. Goldilocks moment, a period where it is characterized by right economic conditions, that is robust economic growth, low unemployment, stable and moderate inflation. So tell me one characteristic now, Harlongbi. How can we know there is a Goldilocks moment in this country?
Sir, when there is possibility of recession.
Possibility of recession? Klarmir, do you want to try?
Just right economic conditions like robust economic growth
Okay.
and low unemployment.
Low unemployment and high economic growth. Okay, characteristics of a Goldilocks moment is always a steady economic growth. Okay, again, I'm telling you, if you don't understand Goldilocks moment, it is the right condition, okay, of an economy. The right condition, meaning low unemployment, stable and moderate inflation, and high economic growth or good economic growth. That is Goldilocks moment. Goal means perfect, okay, perfect moment. All right, perfect moment. So characteristic, it is moderate but steady economic growth is going on in the country. It is low and stable inflation. There is low and stable inflation where prices are contained. Prices are, contained by RBI, okay, at a very target range called 2.4 or 2 to 4%, okay, where prices are maintained in that level, right? That is indicating a healthy balance between demand and supply. Another characteristic is there is low unemployment in the country, okay, Low unemployment in the country. All right. All right. Low unemployment means does not mean everyone is working. Low unemployment means even if people are looking for jobs, they find jobs. Okay, they find jobs. All right. Then there is stable interest rates by the central banks. Stable interest rates in this moment where people can afford. Okay, people can afford things. Then there is strong corporate earnings, meaning the businesses are also growing in a very stable growth, okay, leading to good profits, not very high profits, but still good profits, okay. And consumer confidence is very, very high during Goldilocks moment, okay. Consumer confidence is high, meaning they feel secure in their jobs and in their future income, which encourages spending and investment, okay. So what is a Goldilocks moment, Hugely?
Sir, Goldilocks is it refers to a period characterized by just right economic conditions, like robust economic growth, low unemployment, and stable, moderate inflation.
Okay. So Prince Rongchan, give me two characteristics of Goldilocks moment.
Low unemployment, moderate to stable inflation.
Okay, fine. So Goldilocks moment is the perfect condition of an economy. Okay, perfect condition of an economy where they are not seeing inflation also, they are not seeing recession also. Okay, fine. It is at the balance. It is just at right balance. That is why it is called the just right condition. Okay, just right condition. Okay, fine. Harlongbi, you understood the concept?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this can be a direct question, direct statement based questions you can get, or characteristics also you can get. So please look into the characteristics, okay, properly. Fine. This was a little bit easy topic. Okay. The
My
next,
Wi-Fi was interrupted, sir.
uh-huh.
My Wi-Fi was interrupted, sir, due to power cut.
Okay, okay. All right. No worries. You'll get the document anyways, but please understand in the class. Okay. Um, then the next topic from this chapter in the economic survey, we have this concept called potential GDP. The medium term potential GDP is showing 7%. Okay, 7%. Now, few minutes back, we discussed real versus nominal GDP. Okay. Now, what is this potential GDP? Potential GDP. We know GDP. What is GDP? Can anyone just quickly tell me what is GDP? Should
Sir,
I
the
ask?
goods and services produced.
Goods and services produced in a year in a country. Okay, that is good. That is GDP. Fine. That is GDP. Now, what is potential GDP? So please mark this statement. Potential GDP means maximum sustainable output an economy can produce when all resources are fully and efficiently employed without accelerating efficiency. What is it saying again? Maximum sustainable output an economy can produce. Can produce. Okay. The key word here is can produce when all resources are fully and efficiently employed. When all resources are fully and efficiently employed. Is it possible in an economy where all resources will be used at the maximum level or efficient level? Is it possible?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. But
It will not be a sustainable.
You cannot use the full resources at the efficient level. There will always be a problem, right? You can say, I will study the best of the best, okay? But like I said, like how Harlong we face Wi-Fi disconnection all of a sudden, right? You never know what is going to happen to you, okay? You never know. So how can we predict an economy with all the resources? When if a government tells we will use our resources fully and full efficiently, you cannot say. Sometimes there might be problem in the factory. Sometimes there might be electrical problems. There might be so many problems, political problems. What if the workers walk out? They don't want to work anymore in the factory. What will be the case? So it is just showing a potential. It is an estimate only. Okay, it is just an estimate. It is unobservable concept. Okay, actual GDP you can understand, no? We can observe actual GDP. We can make calculation. We can report the data, right? But potential GDP is just estimated. In very layman word, hawabazi. Okay, I can say hawabazi. We're just saying, like, we'll do everything, we'll do all the things together, fully. But we cannot observe that. Okay, we cannot see potential, of the GDP. Fine, fine. Now if I say I see potential in all of you, that you all will become rich. I can say that, right? Because I see the potential. But how do you measure that potential? How can you measure it? I will not be able to measure it. Okay? Fine. So that potential is just an estimate. It is an unobservable concept. And this potential GDP has just been derived from economic models and historical data only. So looking at historical data, looking at the past records, they see, okay, this country has potential. Their GDP can be grown if all the resources are fully and efficiently employed. They can grow at this level. Okay, so it is just a hypothetical situation type. All right, hypothetical situation type. In actual GDP, the resource can be underutilized or overutilized. But in potential GDP, what is it saying? Full employment of labor and capital and full use, proper use of technology. Is it possible? Like I said, how long we face a Wi-Fi disconnection problem? You cannot rely on that. What about inflation? Actual GDP is associated with inflation. Okay? Actual GDP is associated with inflation. Okay. However, potential GDP does not generate accelerating inflation. Okay, meaning it hardly looks at your inflation, or why is it causing, if the economy is causing inflation or not. All right. What is the policy relevance of actual GDP? It reflects the current economic performance. What is the policy relevance for potential GDP? It is just a benchmark. Benchmark means what? Can anyone tell me? What is a benchmark? What is a benchmark? Can anyone tell me what is a benchmark? It is a standard. Benchmark means standard. Okay, you look up to someone, you are inspired from that person. All right, so potential GDP acts like this standard or a benchmark to assess or to guide monetary and fiscal policy. Okay, so for example, I aspire to be, let's just say for me, if I have to say, I aspire to be like Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, so that motivation is there. My standard is Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of hard work, in terms of using his skills properly. Fine, that is my aspiration. Okay, even if I have the potential also, do you think I'll be Cristiano Ronaldo? I cannot. All right, fine, fine. All of you are understanding, or just quite, or getting more confused with the term?
It's fine.
So what is potential GDP, Rushika? Potential GDP.
Sir, it it measure all the resources
All the
and it's just an estimate.
Okay, it is an estimate. Fine. It is an estimate. Okay, it is not a observable concept. Okay, it is saying when what what level of output can a country produce if all the resources are used and fully and efficiently used, then only it is a potential GDP. Potential GDP means looking at the potential of a country. Okay, looking at the production uh, capability of a country. Fine. Fine. So, how is it determined? Potential GDP, how can you, what are the determinants? One is supply side factors, labor force is a factor, capital stock is a factor, and total factor productivity. Okay, alongside technology and institutions. These are the determinants to find out potential GDP. Meaning we have to keep in mind all these things. If labor force are working in full employment or not. If the money or capital is being used fully or not. Okay. If the technology has been used in optimal level or not. Everything has to be seen. All right. Volatility. What is volatility? Actual GDP is volatile. Okay. Actual GDP is volatile, meaning it fluctuates. Okay, it fluctuates. However, potential GDP is smoother. It evolves gradually over time. Okay, it evolves gradually. Meaning why? We see the historical data. We see the historical data to understand potential of a GDP. Okay. Time horizon, short term. Actual GDP is short term, right? Quarterly or annually. But potential GDP is medium to long term, okay, which is showing a structure. So from 2011 to 2026, what was our potential? We can find out by comparing the data, okay. And for 2032, how will it be? We can make a potential, okay. We can make a potential data. Fine. So please understand this time zone, very, very important. Actual GDP is short term. Potential GDP is medium to long term. All right. Short term means 0 to 1 year. Okay. Medium term is 3 to 5 years. And long term is 10 plus years. Long term is 10 plus years. Now, what was the topic? What was the topic? Anyone read this? What is the topic?
Medium term potential GDP.
Medium term potential GDP is at 7% according to economic survey. So what is medium term?
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Right? 3 to 5 years. So our medium term is 3 to 5 years. Then what was potential GDP?
So using maximum capacity of resources.
Yeah, okay. So medium term potential GDP will be what? I'm just asking you. You understood potential GDP. So what is medium term potential GDP?
So using sustainable maximum potential of the resources for 3 to 5 years.
Very good. If we can, what is our GDP? What is our output in an economy, or how much can we produce when all our resources are fully and efficiently employed in a period of 3 to 5 years? That is medium term potential GDP. So what is the number? It is showing 7%. Okay, medium term potential is showing 7%. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? Why do we need to understand this potential GDP? So potential GDP is crucial for effective macroeconomic management. Okay, it is very, very effective for macroeconomic management. So that means it is used for management of macroeconomics in the country. Okay, so if we have positive output gap. That means if actual GDP is bigger than potential GDP, okay, if actual GDP is bigger than potential GDP, what is it showing? It is indicating an overheating economy. Okay, it is showing overheating economy. What is overheating economy?
High inflation.
Inflation is there. Okay, inflation is there. So to control inflation, what will we need? We need contractionary policies. Meaning, contractionary policies means to control the inflation, RBI and the government will take out some policies. Maybe increase the interest rate so that people cannot afford it or whatever. Yeah, so there are certain policies like that. They will use those controlling policies. Okay, so please mark this. Actual GDP, if it's bigger than potential GDP, it shows overheating economy, which requires contractionary policies. Okay, so this is a concept that can be asked. Okay, fine. What if potential GDP is bigger than actual GDP? What if potential GDP is bigger than actual GDP? That means we are using underutilization of resources is happening. There is high unemployment and potential for deflation. What is deflation? What is deflation?
The opposite of inflation, the price will go down.
Yeah. So that time the government will call for expansionary policies, meaning they will allow people to buy a lot of things, okay, so that the prices remain constant in the market, or try to do something that allows the people to get.
So will
Yeah.
decrease the interest rate maybe.
Uh-huh.
They will decrease the interest rates.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, one of that could be that. Okay, so many things. This expansionary policy and contractionary policies, it's part of monetary policy, as well as you can look at fiscal monetary policy of RBI. You can look up. Okay, you can Google or you can read from your notes what is contractionary policies and expansionary policies. We'll also discuss in the next classes what are all this. All right. So why is potential GDP important? If potential GDP is less than actual GDP, we are seeing a inflation. Simple. We are seeing an inflation. So government will contract the policies. Okay, try to control. If potential GDP is bigger than actual GDP, we are seeing high unemployment, high probability of deflation. So remember these two statements, very, very important. This is very, very important concept. Okay. If potential GDP is lower or higher, what will happen? Okay, that is important. Why potential GDP is important? Another thing is monetary policies. For example, RBI uses the potential GDP to see the inflation risk. Okay, on that basis, they will make expansionary or contractionary policies. Okay, contractionary policies. Even the government uses potential GDP to see if there is a sustainability of fiscal deficits and if they need to design some reforms to boost long-term growth. That we understood from this two already. Okay, these 2 points already. Okay, so potential GDP is necessary to bring structural reforms. Okay, potential GDP is necessary to bring structural reforms. However, actual GDP is necessary to understand what is going on in the economy. Okay, to really understand what is going on in the economy, we need actual GDP. But structural reforms, for reforming something, we need the concept of potential GDP. Okay, potential GDP. So India, in the recent times, during 2000s, we had medium term potential of 7 to 8% since 2000. Then in early 2010s also we saw this growth. Okay, in 2000s and 2010s we saw growth. However, post COVID, we can say, or post 2016, this growth, this potential midterm potential growth was downside. Okay, it went down a little bit. So many reasons: because of investment slowdown, labor market challenge was going on, there was growth problem, and global problems were there. Okay, but initiatives like Make in India, which came in 2014, PLI schemes 2020, National Infrastructure Pipeline 2019, and labor code reforms helped in raising this potential GDP, midterm potential GDP, to 7% as of now. So please look up to these schemes: Make in India, PLI scheme, National Infrastructure Pipeline. This is also part of your economy. Okay, and the labor code, okay, labor code reforms, please, from the notes that I've given, go through it very well for this examination. Okay, fine. So now you understood what is potential GDP. Any problem with potential GDP? Why is it needed, Vaishali, potential GDP?
Sir, it is needed for monetary policies or assessment in the fiscal policies.
Okay. So tell me, Prince Mehdi, tell me, if potential GDP is high than actual GDP, what is the condition? What is the situation?
So negative output gap.
Negative output, meaning what? What will be the condition in the country? What will the country face if the potential GDP is higher than actual GDP?
Uh,
Who can tell me this?
Sir, unemployment.
Deflation.
Unemployment, deflation will happen. Okay.
Expansionary monetary policy.
Yeah, and the government will, what policy will it bring, Harlumbi?
Expansionary.
Expansionary policy. Okay, so these are some important concepts that you have to know for this examination. All right, fine. Okay, the last one for today, very short one. What do you understand by advanced economies? Okay, so from your this document, we are seeing this next point, global growth at 3.3%. It is understandable that global growth is at 3.3%. All right, what is advanced economies? So according to economic survey, advanced economies growth will be at 1.8%, while emerging market and developed economies growth will be at 4.2%. That's what economic survey has said. Now, who are these advanced economies? Okay, so advanced economies are not just wealthy nations. Okay, they are not just wealthy nations. They have some characteristic. One of the characteristic is high per capita income. Okay, high per capita income, meaning economic growth is there. Okay, and high standard of living is there, and more purchasing power is there in the country. So how does they implicate the global world? So they are the major consumers of global goods and services, which is a source of foreign direct investment. Okay, so characteristic number one of advanced economy is they have high per capita income. Second characteristic is they have diversified economic structure, meaning from agriculture to manufacturing to services, they have it all in an advanced economy. They have it all. All right, and they specialize in high value added sectors. Okay, they drive innovation and technological diffusion in the world. Okay, that is a characteristic of an advanced economy. They also have robust institutions. Robust institutions mean strong rule of law, independent strong central banks, transparent regulatory frameworks, and property rights. Okay, so it allows investor to be confident in these countries to invest. Okay, and they provide stability for international transactions. The next characteristic is they are also technologically leader leader of technology. So all innovation, research and development, patent generation, infrastructure, they shape in the world. Okay, so they shape global production processes and create new markets and drives productivity gains. The next characteristic is they have a sound financial system. Sound financial system means they have a lot of deep liquid capital markets, which is interlinked with their sophisticated banking sectors with strong oversight, meaning they have enough finances in their banks, okay, which can allow for the globe to get allocation also from these banks. Okay, so they also provide safe havens during crisis. When crisis hits, they can churn out this liquid into the market. Okay, they can churn out this liquid into the market. And lastly, they have demographic trends, often characterized by aging population and lower birth rates. Okay, so that impacts the labor supply, meaning people will be called into these advanced economies to work from other parts of the world. They can provide pension systems, and they can also provide long-term growth potential for workers or laborers coming. And also technologically, they go for automation. Okay, since they have aging population and lower birth rates, they go for automation or hire people from other countries. So advanced economies, can anyone tell me a classic example understanding the characteristics of advanced economies?
Japan.
Japan. Any other?
China.
China does not consider under advanced economy.
US.
US also is there. Okay.
Germany.
Germany is there. All right. So these are some advanced economies. So advanced economies are not just wealthy nations. They're not just wealthy. They have a lot of things. One is high per capita income, diversified economic structure, robust institution, leadership in technology, sound financial systems, and demography in the opposite direction. Okay, in the opposite direction. So these are advanced economies. What about your emerging markets or developing economies? Okay, what is the characteristic? First of all, opposite of advanced economy, they have lower per capita income. Okay, lower per capita income, but they have huge potential for growth. Okay, they have rapid growth potential, which we have already discussed, meaning their GDP can show high growth of growth rates than advanced economy. Okay, than advanced economy also they can show higher GDP growth. Okay, fine. So they are a new engines of demand. They are going through structural transformation, meaning they're moving from agriculture to manufacturing and services, plus urbanization is happening. So it is creating new jobs and infrastructure needs. Okay, and demand for capital goods is rising in those countries, in those economies. They are also liberating their markets, meaning they're opening to trade, foreign investment, and financial flows in their economics. Okay, fine. They also have a huge demographic dividend. That means they have younger population and a growing working age population. So they provide a large labor force in the world, okay, as well as domestic, and in the world they provide a large labor force. Their development of institution is also going through reforms related to governance, legal problems, and regulatory bodies. They are also transforming themselves, okay, to improve business environment in the country, to reduce risk for investment, and they have a lot of resources. Many economies of this category are rich in natural resources, particularly oil, minerals, agriculture, land, etc. So these are sources of raw materials for global industries, okay, and they are vulnerable to price volatility. Okay, so what are from this characteristic? Give me a classic example of emerging economies?
India.
India. Okay, India. So what did this say? Lower per capita income is there. So sometimes they will show higher GDP than in the advanced countries also. That does not mean, like I said, that does not mean they are advanced economies. All right, GDP can be shown higher. What is the reason to show this high GDP? Because they have demographic dividends, meaning a lot of people, a lot of young people, industrialization is going on rapidly, and they are using technology adoption is going on in the economy. All right, so this is the difference between advanced economies and your emerging economies. So what is it saying? The word is saying advanced economies growth will be at 1.8%, and emerging market and developing economies will have a growth of 4.2% according to economic survey. All right,
So, sir, China falls in which category?
China is still in emerging because their per capita income is still not as high as the advanced economies. Okay, however, they have said that recently they in the current affairs it came up that they are planning to move from taking this title of, you know, emerging economy to advanced economy or developed nation. They want to take the title from developing to developed nations. They want to take the title, it seems. So far, they are still considered under emerging market and developing economy. So I hope.
Sir, what about Dubai?
Haha.
Sir, what about Dubai?
What about Dubai? You find out the characteristic of advanced economies. Do they have high per capita income?
Yes, sir.
Do they have
Yes.
diversified economic structure? Do
Yes,
they
sir.
have diversified economic structure? Do they have manufacturing in Dubai? Yes, oil is there. Oil is being from there and all those. Do they have robust institutions?
Yes.
Do they have technological leadership? Maybe not. Okay, may not be also. Do they have sound financial system? Yes. What about their demography?
Yes.
Yes.
What about their demography? Do they have aging population and lower birth rate? Maybe not also.
No.
Okay, so if 50% of these characteristics are covered, then we can consider that country as advanced economy. Okay, these are characteristics. These are not generally like, you know, pamphlet that you'll have to follow exactly like that. Okay, these are just characteristics of an advanced economy. All right, sometimes like China, they don't want to be called as advanced economy even if they're so developed. Okay, they don't want to be called as advanced economy. They say we are still developing country. Why? So that they get monetary benefits from World Bank and all those. All right, fine. So it is not very necessary to place any country to under these categories, whether they're advanced economy or emerging economies. All right, but characteristics are the factors that you can analyze a country. Okay, based on their economy. Fine. So this is the revision class for economy today. All right. So all the notes will be sent. In fact, I'll send it to you now only, so you can look up to the notes and continuously revise the topics. Okay, economic survey is very, very important for prelims. Okay, you understand a lot of concepts at once instead of going through the traditional route of reading the textbook and, you know, finding out from basics, from macroeconomics and basics of those, and what is GDP, what is inflation. We will understand from economic survey itself. Okay, i'm not I'm not asking you to follow this pattern when you have time. Okay, right now we don't have time to revise. Okay, right now we cannot read books after books. Right now we cannot read a full book of Vivek Singh and, you know, and tell that we are ready for economy. No, right now your focus should be on the specific targets. So what is the target? Target number 1 is economic survey. Target number 2 is your union budget. Target number 3 is your current affairs that I've given. in class regarding economy, like labor codes and all those 16 finance commission. That is your target. Okay, so you do that, you'll cover all your economic, at least for your prelims level. All right, prelims level. So on the go, we are studying the concepts that will help you revise quickly. All right, so please go through this document again, because there are certain confusing terms like nominal GDP, real GDP, potential GDP. Try to find out the differences again and again and again. Read properly. Okay, read it again and again. A lot of statement types question can come. A lot of conceptual types question. Yesterday also we discussed, if GNP was greater than GDP, what would be the condition? We discussed yesterday. Today we are discussing, if GDP is smaller than potential GDP, what is the condition in the country? So those type of conceptual questions can be asked. Okay, fine. So we'll stop here for today, and the rest of you will see at 3:30 again. Okay, for Assam base.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.